Hey, it's Tim.
And it's Amy from GoWithLess. We are recording our video on January 1st, 2019. Happy New Year!
We had some amazing chili today. I have a tradition on New Year's Day. For good luck, I have to have black-eyed peas. So Amy made this amazing chili for us that had black-eyed peas and corn and ground beef and what else did it have in it?
Actually, I stuck one big piece of bacon in it purely for flavor. So it wasn't like a bacon chili, but one piece of bacon in like 12 servings really made for delicious flavor.
It did. Last year we had incredible luck, so hopefully the black-eyed peas are going to pay off this year, and we're going to continue to have amazing luck.
My lovely southern gentleman of a husband and his black-eyed peas. I never had this tradition growing up. This is something that we do together now that Tim's in my life. Do you have any New Year's traditions and celebrations that you do to kick off the new year? So we want to hear it down below. But what we're going to get into today is our spending. We have talked many times on our channel that we spend $36,000 a year. How much did we spend in 2018? We reviewed our numbers today and we had some surprises. So we're going to be sharing that with you as we move ahead.
The number one surprise is, I think a few weeks ago we said that we're going to come in under this $36,000 number. We actually didn't.
We didn't. Stay tuned because we're going to be talking about that today. Every single Wednesday, we come out with a new video. Some of them have to do with money and budgeting. Most of them have to do with travel hacking, or house sitting. No matter what, we hope that you'll sign up over here to get those each Wednesday. And with that, let's get started.
The first thing we're going to say about budgeting is we don't budget.
See ya! Video over.
We know what we spend and we keep a very close eye on that. We have a monthly review of our numbers to understand what money we spend in every single category. What we don't do and what a budget would mean to us that may not mean the same thing to other people, and that's why we have this clarification, is we're not setting aside $400 a month for groceries and putting that in an envelope or doing anything to say that this is how much we're going to spend in this specific category.
Or this is how much we're going to spend in a month. It doesn't even have to be this is how much we're spending in a category. We're spending $5,000 a month on whatever. We don't do that either. We just try to rein it in, see where things are getting a little out of control. And our annual review of our numbers for this video is where we had some surprises. Because we have our month-to-month reviews, they're actually pretty easy. We're doing well with money. We don't have any debt and our spending is nicely under control. However, when we looked at the entire year, those small monthly numbers started adding up to bigger numbers, and we have found some patterns developing that we're going to rein in because we are getting a little bit out of control on a couple categories. And with that, let's get into where our money went for 2018.
Our largest expense for 2018 is going to be health and fitness. This is going to be our health insurance, visits to the doctor, our gym membership, things like that. We spent $9,524 throughout the course of the year on those items. Something of note is this is our number one priority, or at least we say this is our number one priority. Our video last week, we actually spoke to this a little bit. So the dollars we're spending would suggest that this is indeed our number one priority. However, our actions don't necessarily follow up with where we're spending.
They haven't followed up.
They have, that's
we
right.
are going to, starting on January 5th, start a very serious exercise and nutrition program.
Yep. One other caveat with this number, this $9,000, we're going to take $3,000 out of that. So when we talk about our overall spend for the year, I'm expecting to get $3,000, give or take a few $100 back from ACA subsidies when we file our taxes in April.
That is a pretty high number for our spending because we have two different kinds of health insurance. At some point, we're going to talk about this, but we have so many other travel sorts of videos to get through, and we know that our audience asks us about health insurance. There are two health insurance plans that we pay premiums for. At some point, we're going to talk about that. If that's something that you're interested in, if we get enough comments down below, maybe we'll rise that video to the top. So if no one mentions anything about health insurance, it'll come eventually. If it's something that you're interested in, please address below, why do you have two kinds of health insurance? What are you guys doing for health insurance? And we will make sure that we cover it sooner because we know that people want to watch it. That brings us to our second category, which would be
our favorite category.
Our favorite category, which is travel. We spent $7,596 last year on travel. That's actually pretty incredible when you consider that we were out of our home for 104 nights last year, and it includes every single penny we spent the moment we left our home until we got back. That includes all food, all activities. I know many people's travel budgets don't include those sorts of things. For us, it makes sense that they go into that category, but there we go, $75.96 for the year for the two of us, and we took our daughter on a trip to Belize for her first trip abroad this year. Now, next week, we're going to be diving into those numbers very deeply. We're going to be showing where we spent money in this travel category, where we saved, where we spent, where we went, and that's going to be a dedicated video next Wednesday because that's kind of a big topic on its own. The spending we're going to talk about for travel next week is going to be different than the spending that we're talking about for travel this week. That's kind of weird, but there's some kind of weird things going on in there. Number one, we have a lot of credit cards, and there are credit card fees in here. Number two, Tim bought a Google Fi phone over Black Friday, and that gave us $1,000 of travel credit to use in the future. Number three, Tim loves finding good deals on all kinds of stuff. He's like a deals guy. And he found tons of Airbnb deals that allowed us to get 20% off Airbnb at like $100 a pop, but he found them all over the place. It's kind of convoluted, I think. So we don't talk about it in a video because there's a lot of hoops to jump through. It changes constantly. There's small numbers. But he does it so often that now we have $1,300 of Airbnb credit in our account starting the new year. So our travel spending next week will consider how much did we spend on every single trip. That doesn't take into consideration our credit card fees and our Google Fi phone and all this Airbnb credit that we've purchased that we haven't used yet. So they're going to be kind of different numbers. But when you look at the tax credit from our health insurance, that actually means that travel is our biggest category.
Not every single line item in our budget that we talk about today is going to be something that we're happy with. This is something we are incredibly happy with.
And it's our biggest expense, which is incredible.
It is. So being under $8,000 for being out of our home for over 100 days is a phenomenal feat, and we are very proud of the fact that we were able to make all this travel happen for this small amount of money.
It is unbelievably encouraging that we spent under $8,000 for just about a third of the year away from our home, because we're going to be selling our home and selling our cars in a year. So we're going to be taking away a lot of our normal home expenses so that we can travel the world. Well, the idea that we could travel for more than 3 months for under $8,000 is really hopeful, because we may be able to spend less money traveling the world than we can in our paid off small town home.
Crazy.
Crazy.
Bills and utilities is going to be our third largest expense. Comes in at $5,163. Over half of that is our HOA fees in our townhome that we own outright. So the utilities, I'm going to say we're okay with this. This also includes things like internet and our cell phone and electricity, gas. These are the sort of things that are included there. But the HOA is far and away the biggest chunk of this.
I'm going to speak to the heating and AC part of this line item. In our old giant house, we had ceilings that were up to 20 feet high. It was very expensive to heat that home and air condition it, and we used to pay about somewhere in the range of about $400 a month. We kept it very cold when we were sleeping.
$400 a month for electricity.
That's it. And we kept it chilly enough during the day that I'd wear like a hat and scarf. And it was more than $400 a month wearing all these layers and being freezing in the house. Now that we've downsized to our much smaller place, we spend usually much less than $100, and our place is nice and cozy. It's amazing that downsizing has affected our electricity so much. And our home is a lot more comfortable now.
Our fourth largest expense is going to be food, dining, and alcohol, whether that's out or whether we purchase it at the store. That's going to come in at $4,688 that we spent this year in this category.
$2,810 of that was groceries. Considering that we've been away from home for over 100 days, that really is over about 9 months, and we're pretty happy about that number. What we were so surprised here to see is that we spent about $1,800 on dining out. For people who say that they don't spend any money dining out, and whether it's to our channel, to ourselves, out loud, to friends, actually we're spending $1,800 for the year dining out, and that doesn't include any of our dining out when we're traveling. Since we traveled for about 3 months this year, there's only 9 months at home, so $1,800 of dining out divided by 9 months at home equals about $200 a month. Now, $200 a month of dining may be absolutely nothing for many people watching. However, for us, it's actually kind of a big deal.
Most of this accelerated spending on our dining has been recent. It's happened over the course of the last 3 months. Since we got back from Europe, we've been out of control with our diet, and we've also been making unhealthy choices in terms of eating out versus dining at home. In addition to eating out being more expensive, it's also less healthy, or at least we make unhealthy choices whenever we eat out. It's a splurge in terms of spending, it's also a splurge in terms of calories, and a splurge in terms of the choices that we're making that are typically unhealthy. So one of the things that we're doing in the new year is putting this in check. So this is one of the things where we mentioned earlier, when we take a look at our numbers, these are the kinds of things that we're able to make adjustments based upon. We reviewed our numbers, we realized, oh, we're making these poor choices. We'll be reining this in the new year.
Yeah, we are starting that fitness and nutrition plan on the 5th, and that's going to mean we're eating almost everything at home. The thing is we actually prefer that. We like it. So this isn't a hardship. We are retired, so we can make the time to do that. And our calendar gets a little more normal after the holidays. Our schedule has been packed since May 1st. So for the past 8 months, we have been super duper busy. We have made sure that we entered 2019 with a more clear calendar so that we have time to plan, we have time to cook, we have time to chill out, and it's not so go, go, go all the time where this dining out is seeping in. So dining out should be a lot better right away.
Our 5th largest expense is going to be our cars. We spent about $3,959 this last year on our cars. We own 2 cars outright. They're 100% paid for. So that's not an auto loan or anything like that. They're about 10 years old.
Each.
And most of that money goes towards the insurance that we have to have for the cars. The number also includes gas. It also includes oil changes. I think we had brakes on Amy's car, etc. But far and away, the biggest chunk of that goes to insurance.
We are going to be looking to sell my car this year. It's the more expensive of the 2 cars. It is the snow car, and we're thinking we're going to sell that after the winter is over because we're together 90% of the time. So while we are in a very car-dependent suburb, we're together so often that we're going to see how it works just being flexible and having one of us drop the other one off, or getting a ride, or maybe even taking an Uber, doing something to cut out the cost of a second car. Category number 6 is another that we thought that we didn't spend any money on, and that's shopping. We would say that we don't buy anything, that we don't want to bring stuff into our life. We would say that, but our numbers showed us that that ain't quite true. We spent $3,004 on shopping.
And I don't know that I'm so shocked about this number. Maybe Amy was. Most of the spending, or a big chunk of the spending anyway, was electronics. And I knew this year we had a pretty hefty year when it comes to electronics. We bought a new laptop for Amy. That was $600. Bought a new iPad for me. That was $300.
We both bought new watches. My Fitbit died. My watch died. I had a watch that was like a solar watch for 20 years. That died. So I decided to get one of those Fitbit watches. And you have a smartwatch.
I have a smartwatch, and also I bought a brand new phone this year that was on the pricey side. We spent about $1,769 across the board with those electronics. So that was the biggest chunk of our shopping this year.
And then there was some more traditional shopping in that category. We had 3 pairs of shoes that came out to $450. That's kind of a lot for frugal people. However, it was for our 9-week trip to Europe. Each one of us only brought 2 pairs of shoes to Europe, and we walked 8 to 10 miles a day every single day, day after day after day. So our shoes had to be up to this challenge, this physical challenge, and we were outfitted appropriately. So that was money well spent.
That was a worth it splurge, or an investment in our feet.
An investment in our feet.
Our 7th largest expense is going to be on our home. This would be things like furnishings. If our hot water heater died or something like that, that's going to go in this category. We didn't have any of that, though. We had nothing this year really in this category, so we were lucky in that we didn't have any expenses that were extraordinary in this. We spent $1,055 this year on our home. The vast majority of that was insurance. Again, that nasty insurance thing. Over $500, or roughly $500 of that went to insurance.
It also includes office supplies. So we don't really have a bucket to put that sort of stuff. So computer toner would go in there, any kind of office supplies or like home cleaning supplies, stuff like that. So it's kind of a real boring category.
Broad category, but nothing exciting happened in this category this year.
We're not buying decor and things like that because we're going to be getting rid of our home in a year to a storage unit. We're trying to get rid of stuff. We're definitely not buying things like shopping that comes into our house. 2018 was a really big deal for us in that we didn't earn any income from working. All of the money that we earned was from our investments. We don't have any rental properties. We own one property outright and we live in it. So that was a biggie. In the past couple years, we'd taken on kind of part-time minimum wagey jobs for particular reasons. It turned out that we didn't want to trade in our freedom for a minimum wage job, and we were doing that. So 2018 was a big deal with that. Number 8 is also unglamorous, and that would be tax. We spent $23.57 last year in taxes.
Most of that went to paying for property tax. The last time we did a video where we talked about our budget, we actually rolled that property tax into the home category instead of this tax category. So the only thing we paid in addition to property taxes were state income taxes. We did a Roth IRA conversion from our traditional IRA, and we had to pay for that. Since we didn't have any earned income this year and we were only living on our dividends, our interest, and our capital gains, our realized capital gains, we didn't pay any federal income tax. So that was actually a nice win, no federal income tax. However, we did learn some things with taxes this year, and we'll be making some different decisions next year regarding taxes.
And number 9 is education. That's $887. That pretty much covers 2 conferences. The 2 of us attended FinCon in Orlando. That doesn't take into consideration our hotel. That is just the fee for the conference. And then I did a conference alone in Denver for bloggers called the Fuel Your Influence Conference. And that was roughly $100. So between those, that was about $500 out of the $887. The balance of that, we still have a daughter who is graduating from high school this year, so we had to spend a couple $100 for her graduation robe and her fees associated with graduating. So that's most of our education bucket.
Our 10th largest expense is going to be business expenses. Came in at $448. And these would be things like hosting fees for our website, any expenses we had. I think we bought TubeBuddy for YouTube and some other things. So we had some minor expenses in this category.
Equipment for our videos?
Yep.
Yeah.
So we didn't make any money with our business this year, so this is just money that we spent to try and make our business go.
Number 11, personal care, $386. When anyone asks me what I miss from our big spending life, it's massages. They would have gone in this category, and at $386, there's not a lot of room for massages in there. That does include haircuts for the 2 of us all year. So $386 divided by 2 people for the entire year, no manicures, no pedicures, no massages, boo.
But it would include toothpaste and hairspray
and a haircut.
And a haircut.
Yeah. Number 12, entertainment at only $320. This category used to be close to $6,000 a year in our old life. Now it is $320. It is 5% of our total. That one is a doozy.
I think the standout here is that we are incredibly entertained at all times.
We are more entertained than we've ever been.
That's right. And most of our entertainment comes through some of the volunteering that we do and other things, but we
find free things to do.
We find free things to do. But we're actually pretty proud of this number and where this number's coming in.
$320. That's a concert. So if you went to one concert, that'd be everything for the entire year. We have a lot of free movie tickets and theater tickets because of our volunteering efforts. But what that does include is Spotify for the year and Hulu for the year, and that's pretty much that's the majority of it, I guess, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
And then we're going to have like a bonus category, and that's just miscellaneous. It's just over $400 a year. That would have put it back a couple categories ago if we're going to be ranking them as we have been doing. But because it's just little small stuff that doesn't belong in any category, we're just going to stick that on the side with bonus miscellaneous. And that brings our entire spending for the year, I'm going to look at it on the sheet here, to $39,819. We're taking out about $3,000 from that to bring us into $36,819.
The $3,000 is for the ACA subsidies we're intending to get in April.
That we mentioned in part 1.
Again, $36,819.
We're $819 over where we expected to come in. We're okay with that because we see where our outliers are. So there's still a lot of fat in our budget at $36,819. Isn't that incredible? Our biggest category is travel. That's completely discretionary, even though we had a very low spend for that amount of time on the road and where we visited, it's still a lot of money. Plus, our health club is $120 a month, and we spend $200 a month on dining out. So there's a lot of room to trim if we needed to, but life is feeling pretty good here. I think we're going to rein in the dining this year.
I think so. So our health is going to be our priority. It's always our priority. It's going to be a focus of our priority.
I think it actually might go up our health because we're going to be joining a gym that is a lot more personal attention and a lot more accountability. So spending $120 on a gym that we don't use is not a good idea. Even though I love it, I don't go. I'm hoping to maybe spend more money and get to a gym that I have extreme accountability and get better results and stay healthy. So we'll see what happens in 2019, but I think 2018 was a good year.
It was. Worthy of mentioning is that this $36,000 number that we're shooting for is really indicative of nothing. It's just a number that we have that sort of fits nicely into $3,000 a month worth of spending. Our 3% rule gives us a lot more headroom than what the $36,000 offers. So even though we were over what we had in our head, this $36,000 number by almost $1,000, we don't feel bad about that in any way.
And if you were confused by what Tim just said about this 3% number, I'm going to pop something up top, another video that we've done about that, because that's a really big deal. It's actually called the 4% rule. We do it at 3% of our investments because we're younger retirees. So if that just completely glazed your eyes over, please make sure to watch that video because that was the key to our early retirement. So with that, we hope that you have a great new year. We would love to hear your resolutions down below. Do you track your annual spending, your monthly spending? What are you spending? We'd love to see this down below. We love to see what people spend, and whether it's good, bad, ugly, needs changes, lean and mean, whatever, we'll take it. Please put it down below. We'd love to hear your resolutions as well. So thanks for watching. If you like today's video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to get our new videos each Wednesday. And if you have any comments, as I mentioned, suggestions, ideas for future videos, do you want a video about our health insurance? We'll talk about that if people ask. Please put those down below. And if you would mind sharing this with your social media, we would be forever grateful. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next Wednesday.
Happy New Year.